Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you embody. It is not outside of you, waiting to be earned or granted. It is within you, waiting to be assumed. The moment you accept the feeling of being wealthy, the world begins to reshape itself to match your inner state. The error most make is believing that they must first see evidence of wealth before they can feel abundant. But this is backward. Reality is a reflection of consciousness. You must first become the person who has wealth in your imagination, and only then will it externalize. Your assumption is the foundation upon which your financial success rests. If you assume yourself to be someone who struggles, who lacks, who must work tirelessly for even the smallest gain, then your world will confirm that belief. But if you assume yourself to be someone for whom money flows effortlessly, someone who is in perfect alignment with wealth, then the world will mirror that back to you. The shift happens the moment you stop entertaining old patterns of thought that tell you wealth is difficult, rare, or reserved for others. The only requirement is that you persist in this new assumption until it becomes so natural that you no longer question it. You do not need to understand how the wealth will come. That is not your concern. The bridge of incidents leading to your millions will unfold in ways beyond your current comprehension. Your only responsibility is to dwell in the state of already having it. When you walk into a store, do so with the inner knowing that you have more than enough. When you think about your bank account, feel the certainty of financial overflow. Even if the outer world shows otherwise, ignore it, for the physical world is simply the past crystallized. It lags behind the truth of your assumption. Your imagination is the creative force that determines what you experience. When you close your eyes and see yourself in possession of vast wealth, you are not engaging in fantasy. You are shifting your consciousness to a reality that already exists. Time is an illusion. The only thing that separates you from your millions is your belief that you do not yet have them. The moment you claim them internally, you begin to pull them into your presence. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law of consciousness in action. The key is to feel the reality of your wealth as if it were already done. If you were truly wealthy, how would you feel when you wake up in the morning? How would you carry yourself? How would you interact with others? What silent confidence would radiate from you? These are the questions that guide you into the state of abundance. It is not about reciting affirmations mindlessly. It is about embodying the state to such an extent that it becomes your dominant experience, regardless of what the senses report. Doubt may attempt to creep in, but it holds no power unless you entertain it. The world may try to convince you that wealth is only for a select few, that you must toil endlessly to receive even a fraction of financial freedom. But these are merely externalized beliefs that you have the power to discard. You do not need to fight against the old way of thinking. You only need to persist in the new. The more you return to the feeling of already being wealthy, the more natural it becomes, and soon it will be the only reality you know. The process is simple, but it requires discipline. It is easy to slip back into old patterns of lack and limitation, but every time you do, remind yourself that your assumption is what creates. Do not let temporary appearances dictate your state. When you find yourself worrying about money, shift your awareness immediately. Step into the version of yourself who already has more than enough. What would they think in this moment? How would they respond? Align with that version of yourself, and soon you will see the world respond accordingly. This is the secret that has been hidden in plain sight. You are already wealthy. The moment you claim it, the moment you live from it rather than towards it, it will begin to materialize in your world. Money is not something to acquire. It is a state to embody. And once you embody it fully, the millions must follow. Everything you experience in the outer world is a direct reflection of the assumptions, beliefs, and emotions you hold within. The conditions of your life, the people you encounter, the opportunities that come your way, all of it is an extension of your inner state. You may think circumstances dictate how you feel, but the truth is the opposite. How you feel dictates your circumstances. The moment you understand this, you reclaim your power to no longer react to life as something happening to you. Instead, you recognize that life is simply mirroring what you accept as true in your consciousness. If your inner world is filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, your outer world will confirm those feelings with experiences of struggle, lack, and disappointment. You may think these external events are random, but they are simply the physical manifestation of your inner dialogue. Every thought you persist in, every assumption you hold, is like a seed planted in the soil of your subconscious mind. With time, those seeds grow into the visible experiences of your life. The mistake most people make is trying to change the outer world without first changing the inner world. But just as you cannot alter a reflection in a mirror without first changing your expression, you cannot change your external life without shifting your inner state. You have seen this principle at work in your own life, even if you did not realize it. Think of times when you were confident, certain of an outcome, and everything unfolded in your favor with little effort. Now recall moments when you doubted yourself, when you anticipated failure and found that things indeed went wrong. This was not coincidence. The outer world conformed to your expectations because that is how reality operates. Whatever you believe to be true about yourself and your life becomes the structure upon which your experiences are built. Your mind is constantly shaping your reality, whether you are aware of it or not. If you wake up each day feeling burdened by the belief that life is hard, that success is difficult, that money is scarce, then those very beliefs will play out in your daily experiences. You will encounter obstacles, financial difficulties, and closed doors, not because life is against you, but because your consciousness is tuned to that frequency. Conversely, if you wake up expecting ease, abundance, and opportunities, you will find that life aligns itself accordingly. The outer world is neutral. It only reflects what you bring to it. This is why imagination is your greatest tool. What you imagine and assume as real in your inner world will eventually be expressed in your outer world. If you see yourself as someone who is prosperous, successful, and confident, your reality will shift to reflect that identity. If you carry the inner conviction that you are worthy of love, respect, and wealth, then the world will respond in kind. But if you persist in seeing yourself as lacking, struggling, or unworthy, then no amount of external effort will change your circumstances for long. Change must begin within. Most people allow their environment to dictate their emotions, but the few who understand this law create their environment from within. They do not wait for success to feel successful. They feel successful first, and success follows. They do not wait for money to feel abundant. They cultivate the feeling of abundance, and the money arrives. They do not wait for external validation to feel worthy. They assume their worth, and the world recognizes it. This is the difference between those who struggle and those who seem to attract everything effortlessly. The ones who succeed have mastered the art of controlling their inner world. The challenge is to remain faithful to your inner vision, even when the outer world appears unchanged. This is where most people falter. They plant the seed of a new belief, but dig it up too soon by doubting, by checking for results, by allowing old fears to creep in. But those who persist, those who hold firm to their assumption, regardless of appearances, will see the outer world shift in their favor. Reality must conform to the dominant state of your mind. If you can hold the feeling of already having what you desire, if you can refuse to entertain thoughts of lack or failure, then your outer world has no choice but to mirror that conviction. The world around you is not fixed. It is fluid, changing according to the assumptions you hold. Every person you meet, every opportunity that arises, every setback or success, it is all a reflection of the state you occupy within. Nothing is outside of you. Nothing is separate from your consciousness. The moment you take control of your inner world, the moment you discipline your thoughts and assume only the best for yourself, life will shift to reflect the wealth, success, and joy that you have claimed within. When you assume something to be true and persist in that assumption, it must harden into fact. This is the law that governs all manifestations. The reason most people fail to see their desires materialize is not because they are incapable, nor because their dreams are impossible, but because they waver in their assumption. They allow the evidence of the senses to dictate what they believe, rather than holding steadfast to the unseen reality they have claimed. They assume for a moment, then doubt, then assume again, never fully committing to the state of already having what they seek. But true manifestation requires unwavering persistence. The world around you is simply a reflection of your dominant state of consciousness. If you assume something for a brief moment and then allow contradicting thoughts to take over, your reality will reflect that inconsistency. But if you persist in your assumption, if you dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire, no matter what the external world presents, then the world must eventually conform. This is not speculation, this is law. Reality is molded by the mind that refuses to accept anything contrary to its assumption. Most people believe that change happens from the outside in, but in truth, all transformation begins within. When you assume that you are wealthy, successful, or loved, and you persist in that assumption without doubt, you initiate a shift in consciousness. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions begin to align with that new state. Even if nothing appears to change at first, the unseen forces are already in motion, orchestrating events to bring your assumption into physical form. This is why persistence is crucial. The moment you give up, you halt the process. The moment you question whether it is working, you introduce resistance. But when you persist, you allow the unseen to become seen. The world will often test you, presenting you with circumstances that seem to contradict your assumption. This is where many people falter. They see the lack of immediate evidence and assume their efforts are wasted. But these external conditions are merely remnants of old assumptions, playing out as they fade away. If you persist, if you refuse to react to these shadows of the past, they will dissolve, and your new assumption will take center stage. The key is to remain unmoved, to know that what you have assumed is already yours, regardless of appearances. Think of a seed planted in the soil. The moment it is buried, the process of growth begins, even though nothing is visible on the surface. If you were to dig it up every day, doubting whether it would grow, you would only hinder its progress. But if you trust in the unseen work happening beneath the surface and persist in caring for it, it will inevitably sprout and bear fruit. Your assumption works the same way. The moment you claim something as true in your imagination, the process begins. Your only task is to persist until it becomes visible in your world. There will be moments when your senses tempt you to believe in the opposite of what you have assumed. You may experience financial struggles while assuming wealth, loneliness while assuming love, setbacks while assuming success. But these moments are not signs of failure, they are tests of your persistence. The question is not whether the law works, but whether you will remain faithful to your assumption despite all external appearances. Those who succeed are the ones who refuse to waver. They do not let circumstances dictate their beliefs. Instead, they allow their beliefs to dictate their circumstances. The reason persistence is so powerful is because it shifts your entire state of being. When you persist in an assumption long enough, it becomes second nature. You no longer have to force yourself to believe it. It simply feels like the truth. And once it feels natural, the world has no choice but to reflect it. The reality you experience today is the result of the assumptions you have persisted in, whether consciously or unconsciously. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you consistently assume to be true. No effort is ever wasted. Every time you return to your assumption, every time you refuse to accept something contrary to your desire, you reinforce the new state. It may take time, but time is irrelevant to the law. What matters is your ability to hold firm, to remain unshaken, to persist in your chosen reality until it is the only reality that exists. The key to manifesting anything you desire lies in your ability to feel as if it is already yours. It is not enough to merely think about your goal or wish for it to come true. You must immerse yourself in the emotional and sensory experience of already having it. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It responds only to the feelings you accept as true. The moment you embody the state of the wish fulfilled, you set in motion the forces that will bring it into reality. The external world is always a reflection of the inner world, and when your inner state matches your desired outcome, the outer world must conform. Too often, people focus on the process, wondering how their desire will manifest, when it will arrive, or whether it is even possible. But these concerns only create resistance because they come from a place of lack. The moment you question how, you affirm that it is not yet yours. The moment you feel impatience, you reinforce the idea that it is missing. The secret is to bypass all doubt by assuming the feeling of already having what you seek. If you want wealth, feel wealthy now. If you desire love, feel deeply loved in this moment. If you long for success, step into the certainty that it is already accomplished. Reality cannot help but reflect what you consistently assume to be true. When you feel the end result now, you shift your state of being. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions begin to align with your new reality. You no longer act from desperation or need. Instead, you operate from a place of fulfillment and assurance. The world senses this change. People respond differently to you. Opportunities arise that seem perfectly timed. The things you once struggled to attain begin flowing effortlessly into your life. This is not coincidence. It is the natural consequence of aligning with your desired state. The universe does not withhold anything from you. It only gives you what you are prepared to receive. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, believing they must first see evidence before they can believe in a new reality. But this is backward thinking. The truth is that you must first believe, first feel, and then the evidence will appear. When you imagine yourself living the life you desire and fully immerse yourself in that feeling, you send out a signal that attracts experiences in harmony with your assumption. This is not wishful thinking. It is the very nature of reality. Everything you have ever achieved began as an assumption you accepted as true. Feeling the end result now is not about daydreaming or pretending. It is about conviction. It is about knowing that what you desire is already yours in the unseen realm and allowing that certainty to dictate how you think and feel. The more real it feels within, the faster it must appear without. You do not need to force anything, nor do you need to beg or chase. You only need to reside in the state of already having it. If you persist in this state, the world around you has no choice but to catch up. Doubt is the only thing that can delay your manifestation. If you allow circumstances to convince you that your assumption is false, you will remain stuck in your current reality. But if you persist, if you refuse to entertain any thought that contradicts your desire, you will find that your assumption hardens into fact. Those who master this principle understand that nothing is ever missing. It is only a matter of aligning with the right state. Every great achievement, every transformation began with an individual who dared to feel the end result before it became visible. Do not wait for conditions to change before you allow yourself to feel different. Change the feeling first, and the conditions will follow. If you want to be successful, feel successful now. If you desire a peaceful life, dwell in the feeling of peace. If you long for abundance, let the sensation of abundance fill your mind and body. The world outside of you is fluid, always shifting according to the dominant feelings you hold within. When you stop seeking and start knowing, when you stop waiting and start feeling, you step into the reality you have always been meant to experience. The moment you decide to embody your desire, the path to its fulfillment is already unfolding. There is no need to struggle, no need to force, no need to doubt. Simply assume the state of the wish fulfilled, feel it deeply, and watch as life rearranges itself to match your inner conviction. Everything that manifests in your life begins with you. You are not a victim of circumstances, nor are you subject to forces beyond your control. You are the operant power, the one who gives meaning to all that you see and experience. Nothing happens to you that you have not first accepted within yourself. The world is not shaping you. You are shaping the world through your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. This truth may be difficult to accept at first because it requires full responsibility. But once understood, it is the key to absolute freedom. Most people go through life believing that external conditions dictate their fate. They believe luck, chance, or the will of others determines their success or failure, but nothing could be further from the truth. Every experience, whether joyful or painful, originates from within. Your consciousness is the only creative power in your reality. What you assume to be true, what you persist in believing, and what you continuously feel becomes the world you live in. If you believe yourself to be limited, the world will reflect limitation. If you assume yourself to be powerful, the world will arrange itself to confirm that power. You have been given the ability to direct this creative power at will. The thoughts you dwell upon, the images you entertain, and the emotions you nurture are shaping your reality moment by moment. The conditions you see today are simply the product of past assumptions, but they hold no real power over you unless you continue to accept them as true. The moment you change your inner world, the outer world must follow. This is not a possibility, it is an absolute law. Just as a reflection in a mirror must change when the object in front of it moves, reality must shift when you assume a new state of being. Most people wait for their environment to change before they allow themselves to think differently. They wait for proof before they believe, for success before they feel successful, for love before they feel loved. But this is backward. The world is a mirror, and mirrors do not change first. You must first assume the feeling of your desired reality, and then the world will confirm it. This is why discipline over the mind is crucial. The moment you accept something as true in your imagination, you have set creation in motion. What you focus on expands. What you persist in feeling becomes tangible, and what you assume hardens into fact. Doubt, fear, and hesitation only arise when you forget your power. If you believe circumstances control you, you will feel powerless. If you believe that others have authority over your destiny, you will remain at their mercy. But the moment you realize that nothing in this world has power over you unless you grant it permission, you reclaim your ability to shape reality. You are the source. You are the cause. Every result you experience, whether desired or undesired, has been set into motion by your own consciousness. The only difference between success and failure is the ability to persist in an assumption until it becomes natural. The world will often try to convince you that you are small, that things happen randomly, that you must fight and struggle to achieve what you want. But those who truly understand this principle know that force is unnecessary. When you fully assume something to be true, the world bends to accommodate that assumption. You do not have to manipulate or chase anything. What you seek will be drawn to you as naturally as a shadow follows its source. The only effort required is the effort of belief, the discipline to remain faithful to your chosen state regardless of appearances. No one else can assume for you, and no one else can limit you unless you accept their limitations as your own. You are the operant power in your life. You have the ability to shift into any state of being at any time. If you want abundance, assume abundance. If you want love, assume love. If you want success, assume success. Do not look to the world for validation. Decide what is true within yourself, and the world will reflect it. This is the secret behind all transformation. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is the assumption you are willing to claim as your own. Once you fully grasp this truth, nothing will seem impossible. You will no longer react to circumstances with fear or frustration because you will know they are merely reflections of old thoughts, easily changed by assuming a new state. You are not here to be at the mercy of life. You are here to shape it according to your will. The power has always been in your hands. The question is not whether you are creating, but whether you are creating consciously. The key to transforming your reality lies in your ability to live as if your desire is already fulfilled. It is not enough to simply wish for something or hope that it will come true. You must embody the state of already having it, of already being the person who possesses what you seek. This is the secret to all manifestation. The ability to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and move through life as though it were already a fact. When you do this, the world has no choice but to conform. It is not a matter of if but when, because once you fully accept something as true, reality must rearrange itself to match that inner conviction. Most people make the mistake of waiting for evidence before they believe. They wait for wealth before they feel abundant, for love before they feel cherished, for success before they feel accomplished. But this is the opposite of how creation works. The external world is only a reflection of the internal world, and the reflection cannot change until you change the image you hold within. If you continue to feel lack, struggle, or unworthiness, you will only perpetuate those conditions. But the moment you shift into the feeling of already having what you desire, you set the forces of creation into motion. Living as if it's already done means thinking, speaking, and acting from the state of fulfillment. It means no longer asking, when will it happen, because you know that it already has. It means no longer seeking validation from the outside world because you are already certain within. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something you don't truly accept. It is about deeply knowing that what you desire is yours the moment you claim it in consciousness. You do not need to see it to believe it. You must believe it to see it. Doubt and fear only arise when you allow appearances to dictate your belief. But if you understand that reality is fluid, constantly molding itself to your assumptions, then you will not be swayed by temporary conditions. What is seen today is only a reflection of past thoughts, and it holds no power unless you continue to feed it with attention. The moment you decide to live from the end, as if your desire is already a reality, you take control of the creative process. You are no longer a spectator reacting to life. You are the director determining how the story unfolds. Living as if it's already done means shifting your identity. If you want wealth, you must feel wealthy now. If you want success, you must walk with the confidence of someone who has already achieved it. If you desire love, you must carry the energy of someone who is already deeply loved. This is not a trick or a game. It is a fundamental law of creation. The energy you emit determines what you attract. When you persist in a state, the world around you has no choice but to reflect that state back to you. Many people struggle with this concept because they are conditioned to rely on their senses. They believe what they see rather than understanding that what they see is simply an echo of past beliefs. But if you truly want to change your life, you must stop letting external circumstances dictate your inner state. Instead, you must decide how you want to feel and commit to that feeling regardless of what is currently visible. The more you hold on to the new state, the more reality bends to reflect it. This is not wishful thinking, it is the mechanics of how reality works. Living as if it's already done does not mean forcing things to happen. It does not mean obsessively checking for results or trying to manipulate circumstances. It means trusting that once you have assumed the state of the wish fulfilled, everything necessary for its manifestation is already in motion. You do not need to figure out how it will happen. You only need to remain faithful to your assumption. The bridge of events will unfold naturally, in ways you could never have planned or predicted. Your only job is to persist in the knowing that it is done. The moment you shift into this way of being, everything changes. The world begins to move in ways that seem almost magical. Coincidences appear, opportunities arise, and things fall into place effortlessly. This is not magic. It is simply the natural response of reality to a consciousness that has decided upon an outcome and refuses to waver. The longer you remain in the state of fulfillment, the faster it solidifies into fact. You do not need to push or struggle. You only need to live as if it's already done.